What Really Happened Yesterday at the U.S. Treasury? By Dinar Chronicles. June 15, 2016. Website: intel-dinarchronicles.blogspot.com. Produced by Higher Self.
Many are still wondering what exactly happened yesterday, in the halls of the U.S. Treasury, when President Obama made a fish-out-of-water Islamic terrorist speech in an overtly financial setting. It made little to no sense. And while he did attempt to tie in the Treasury in terms of blocking terrorist spending, the reality of the situation is far different than the naked eye would behold. The irony of Obama's speech is due to his now utter irrelevance geopolitically, as even new Republic President, General Joseph Dunford was literally standing alongside of the ousted Obama. In fact, everyone standing up next to the cabal puppet, including former U.S. Treasury Secretary Jack Lew, also a cabal puppet, was fully anticipating Obama to announce the new U.S. notes currency being in circulation, per a signed treaty, which very subtly gives the new Republic Treasury control of printing the nation's money again, this in place of the private, illegal, bankrupted and already fully transitioned Federal Reserve Bank. What they all got, however, was a nearly 30-minute ISIL revisitation of all former false flag gun control events by paid foreign crisis actors, which ironically pose no real threat to national security, now that they have zero funding flows. Honestly, does Obama think we're idiots? Or is Obama just in a frantic state of self-preservation, a typical behavior of human model replicas? Because to those of us expecting a public release of the new currency during our currency redemption appointments, we were left utterly dumbfounded, perhaps just as dumbfounded as Republic President Dunford and cabal transition agent Jack Lew were, as Obama's speech opened up an entirely new can of worms in terms of the U.S. notes initial release pathway. And no matter what anyone says, this speech, or lack thereof, did delay the release of the RV, as well as the public revaluation of U.S. currency, at least for another painstaking day. So what now, Fighting Joe? Paul Ryan? Grandfather? Great-grandfather? Well, it's long been reported that Jack Lew has made a pre-taped announcement that can air at any time per the emergency broadcast system if need be. However, that is not the optimal strategy for the Chinese elders, who insist on an overt transition statement and/or confession for the public record. This is for international legal reasons. Certainly this is their break the glass option. Yet Obama knew this, and still took the opportunity to embarrass both the Chinese and Republic one final time, as he has done several times leading up to this historic moment. That said, we know Barry Soetoro has been permanently removed from making any more critical speeches now, i.e. politically neutralized, so the U.S. notes announcement will need to be made through a top-level administration spokesman like a Jack Lew or equivalent, not Janet Yellen. Perhaps Paul Ryan will announce the new U.S. notes tomorrow morning during his normal 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time Speaker of the House address. Maybe even President Dunford himself stands by him too? Yeah, I know it's doubtful, but that would sure be interesting. Something has gotta give because the world will not wait on the Republic any longer to get their shit together. And while many now want Obama arrested, but public incarceration of a sitting U.S. president isn't so easy, especially the first elected African American president, at least the appearance of a legitimately elected leader. And internationally, no one wants to see a sitting U.S. president publicly humiliated again, a la Nixon in 1974 after he illegally eliminated the gold standard and was forced to resign on national television. Less is more when engaging in a benevolent but silent coup d'état. Any forceful removal of such a high office might set back the Republic negatively, as well as negate advancements in the civil rights movement, even potentially inciting a riot in large urban populations that don't know the real truth about what's really going on behind the scenes. So how does the world move forward without appearing to move at all? Again, Obama all of knew this before he chose to replace his US notes speech with one about ISIL, and thus he played his very last negotiating chip with that bizarre Islamic terrorist diatribe, which had no significance or purpose other than delaying the inevitable, and possibly better cementing his presidential legacy as being tough on terror, which is also ironic because his handlers created ISIL, and paid for them, all through illegal US military black budgets. But honestly, what an odd world we live in, where reality is pure fantasy, and fantasy is our reality playing out every night via all mass media outlets who are in on the grand deception. It's a total mind melt if you don't know what's really happening on the macroeconomic financial stage. I mean, you must admit the pageantry is entertaining, and confusing, but fascinating all at the same time. The good news is that Janet Yellen is scheduled to make a speech at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time today, as per her normal routine, and we believe any new tack made by the Republic Chinese will be done after both her speech and markets close on Wednesday. Then our RV rollout is finally fair game. How and when are still fluid and legitimate issues to be worked through. But because we know China went 100% gold back today, Wednesday, at 8 a.m. Central Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Tuesday, we know the US notes are tied directly into their new global reserve currency implementation. So if the Paris Agreement is truly to be put into force, 13 days after it was ratified by 55 countries, representing 55% of global carbon emissions, by the way, the Paris Agreement on climate change is actually the RV masqueraded as a global environmental treaty, then all 195 nations must also now be 100% compliant, including our own Republic of the United States, which means our pretty new gold-backed rainbow currency must now be released, as we know bills have already been preloaded in ATMs. Expect to visibly see them as late as this evening, but certainly by early tomorrow morning nationwide. Things should get real interesting after markets close today in the US, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and before markets open in China at 8 a.m. Central Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So whenever the Republic decides how best to move forward, look for something historic to happen publicly with regards to the US notes, so that the RV can begin before midnight, Wednesday. Why? Because as the Chinese have always said, either all nations go or none go, and the nation of China has already gone. America must be next. God is with us.